Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. Today's webinar, RadFacts Expanded, is presented by Ken Repking and David Foth. Ken Repking is a practice associate with the Landauer Medical Physics Radiation Safety Support Services Group, and David Foth is our RadFacts product manager, and he is on the call to talk about our process and answer any questions that you may have. So with that, I will turn it over to Ken and Dave.
All right, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're at, and thank you for joining our webinar, RadFacts, Making Sense of Dosimetry Data, the sequel. Now, if you know anything about sequels, it's usually never as good as the original, except for Top Gun Maverick. That one, that breaks the mold. But I think you're gonna like this sequel as well. So what we're gonna do today, as Tiffany referenced, we're gonna discuss RadFacts and some changes that were made. This is not an in-depth review of RadFacts. However, if you would like to do that, to look more into it, we actually have 2 webinars on our website at landauer.com under the Knowledge Center, and there are RadFacts for myLDR and an overview and preparing dosimetry data for Radiation Safety Committee meetings. So if you're interested in that, check those out. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay. So if you're new to this, what is RadFacts? Basically, it's a dosimetry management dashboard for myLDR. myLDR is our portal where your dosimeters, your dosimeter info is stored. You can add, you can delete, you can do things like that. This system helps you visualize data trends. What's going on in your radiation protection program? What's going on in your dosimetry management? It has all the metrics kind of collected together in an easy to locate spot. It has graphics, it has data for you to easily visualize what is going on in your program to help you and make your job easier. Now, when you log into myLDR, you'll see a screen on this left-hand side, looks just like this. You'll see RadFacts down here. You click on that and it'll take you into the module. Just a quick point out, you'll also see these 2 functions, Rad Safety Services and Medical Physics Services. If you subscribe to either of those, this is your report repository and where you can easily access these reports for inspection surveys, all within one location. Okay, so what brought us here today? VOC, in case you don't know, is the voice of the customer. So we listen, people reach out, they said, hey, I'd like to see this, or I found an issue, or I have questions. So we listen and we respond. So David, do you want to talk a little bit about this and what brought this all about?
Yeah, thanks, Ken. As we interact with customers and just kind of explore, areas that we can do better, one area was really around RadFacts, and what we heard from customers was, number one, make it easy to see what percentage of my dosimeters have been reported. Historically, it's been kind of a wait and see period to look and make sure all of my dosimeters are in so that my data is valid. So we've added some functionality here. Also, to help me drill down around fetal dose. So we've added functionality here that we really wanted to make it easy to get to that fetal dose. And then also around the ALARA areas, having more visibility to all the dose types. So rather than just D to E, you'll see some expanded dose there. Also to make it easy to contact participants. One use case that we kept hearing frequently from customers is that once I look at unused or unreturned dosimeters or even fetal dosimeters, I often want to reach out to those participants who are on that list. And so with the utilization of emails, we can now do so directly from in the app. And then finally, we had customers really wanting to do more with the timelines and the trends. So we've added some functionality here that just makes it much more flexible to look at different time periods.
All right, thank you, David. Appreciate that. And for you all in the audience, please provide that feedback. If something is broke, we don't know, we can't fix it unless we know it's broke, we're always told. So that feedback is crucial to us in improving products and keeping your satisfaction. Okay, So we do have a poll question here. I kind of want to gauge the audience and see what level you're at. We want to know, how much time do you typically spend preparing for a radiation safety committee meeting? Less than 2 hours, kind of quick and painless for the most part. 2 to 4 hours, just enough time to wonder why I agreed to this role. Or 4 hours or more, feels like you should be getting hazard pay. So Edna, if you could please launch that poll for me.
Absolutely, Ken. And that poll question has been launched, and we will give participants about 30 seconds to enter their responses, because I know you and David has a lot more information that you would like to share with attendees. So once again, thank you for participating in this poll question. Responses are coming in. And Ken, I think we're going to go ahead and close this poll question.
Okay.
And let's see, I'll share the results. See, 56% of the audience indicated less than 2 hours. 25% of the audience indicated 2 to 4 hours. And 19% of the audience indicated 4 hours or more.
Okay, great. So a lot of you, are not really working extra hard on this, and some who are. I want to share a selfie with you. This is actually me. That's why I'm not on video. But now we have these days where it feels like the life is sucked out of us, right? So hopefully with some changes we've made here, we can help you. For you who are struggling a little bit, we can maybe help take some items, some things off your table, make the process more efficient for you. Okay, so what we're going to do now, when within RadFacts, I work for the Radiation Safety Support Services side, and we create RSC presentations. So we're actually going to see what a presentation looks like, and there'll be a few extra screens to kind of show, the changes that we have made. So we're kind of double dipping here. Okay, so of course this would be your cover screen, your hospital name, Radiation Safety Committee, your quarter, your RSO, whatever you want to place onto this screen. And when you enter RadFacts, this is your main screen here. This is the overview screen. Now, the first change that we're going to go over that we've made is this portion right here. You can now drill down by quarter or by year. Now, when doing this for this screen, I like to treat this as a year to date. This is my program year to date. That's how I want to see it. This is showing you the annual ALAR levels, not the quarterly. That's in a different screen. But if you want to see the quarter information, you can switch it here, but you want to make sure through the rest of the screens that you switch it back to the quarter. Okay. Another piece that was added is this confidence level. This is the percentage of dosimeters that were returned. And when you're in RadFacts, if you click, this will show you, and this screen is showing collective dose, but it shows you that almost 93% of your dosimeters were returned. Now, why is that important? Well, whenever you're looking at this, most of the dosimeters were returned. So these numbers may change, but they should not change drastically. So you have pretty accurate representation of what's going on at that time. All right. Now, here's an example of you only have 25% of your dosimeters returned. So if you were looking at this now, you'd be like, well, I'm going to come back later because I don't have all of my dosimeters. This number could change drastically because you want the most accurate information. Now, this quarter year is going to be consistent throughout most of the screens. So is this confidence level. And these are the tabs in RadFacts that we're going to go through here today and discuss. Okay. Now, this is the deep dose ALAR performance. These are your quarterly levels. Again, you have this confidence level here showing you that 90% of your dosimeters were returned, so you wouldn't expect to see many more ALAR levels added, possibly a few. One of the changes that we made here as well, the ALAR 2s and the ALAR 1s are now highlighted in red and yellow. We added deep dose extremity, lens dose, deep dose equivalent, lens dose equivalent, shallow dose equivalent, and extremity. There's no data here. This is a demo account. It just wasn't populated. Okay. Now, also, you'll see here, and we'll show you in a different screen where this is actually populated, but this is a quick link to this participant's email if you had it programmed into the system. So you would have an email address here for Antonio. You would just click on it. It would launch into your Outlook or whatever you're using. And you can just type, hey, Antonio, I see you have an LR2. Please come meet with me, or attach the questionnaire, fill it out, return to me. It just prevents you from having to get out and go do things. You can tackle all that from this screen. Now, with this yearly option, this is switched to year. So if you're doing your annual LAR letters to management, it's very easy to tabulate. If you go back here, you have to sit and count per quarter. Now it's just here, 12 LR1s, 3 LR2s for the year. I have most of my dosimeters returned. I like this information. I can create my letter. And again, that confidence level is always here in most of the screens. 93%. Okay. The dosimeter return compliance. Now you'll see that confidence level is gone because these are the dosimeters that have to be returned. So that was measuring the number of dosimeters returned, so it doesn't correlate. This is showing you late dosimeters. Now these are dosimeters that are returned after 45 days. This unreturned, this is showing you dosimeters that are not been returned after 45 days. So you still have dosimeters out there missing. And this section here, this is a save you money graph. Dosimeters that are returned less than 90 days after the wear period, you don't incur the late fee. So this is showing you out of these dosimeters that are not returned, this is what sub-account they are in and where you need to go target. Okay. This is just the second part of that graph. You can see here, you have this email function again. You could click on Hank's email and say, hey, Hank, we're missing a dosimeter. Please let me know if you have any idea where this is at, or return it to me if you find it, etc. Now, this graph, this section right here, I really love. So this is your declared pregnant workers. We have a little, this is added in. This is not part of RadFacts, but you can copy paste this in from your documents. Participants in yellow appear to be beyond expected date of birth. These participants' declaration needs reevaluated and updated. So if you'll see here, this is flagged as 10 months ago. So that's an update. It stands out more, and it's now in months. So there's 7 days in a week, and there's 40 weeks in a typical gestational period, so 280 days. So after 40 weeks, 280 days, you would expect to see that dosimeter canceled. Now, with fetal dosimeters, you have to do a two-step process to fully cancel that dosimeter because of a safety feature. You cancel it, and you also have to add your end date. You'll see this here. If you don't add the end date, it keeps accumulating exposure, because if you accidentally cancel that fetal dosimeter, the system is saying, well, I want to be able to catch any exposure to the fetus that I can because they didn't properly do it, just in case. So now you see this and you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot to cancel that, or I forgot to add the end date. Now you just go right here, you click on that, it takes you to the portion of myLDR where you can add the end date and be done. You could do this right here on the second one, and you're done. You can also see right here, here's an email that was populated. You could click on that, any questions for the participant. Okay. So another feature, the total pregnancy dose is added, a little more clear here. You will see this participant, Francis, right here, has 105 millirem. Uh-oh, that's not good, or I don't know, we need to look into that more. So if you click on that, it launches here. What this is the cumulative exposure. So everything is good, it's fine. The total exposure added up to 105. You didn't exceed any LRs. This is showing you the breakdown, so you don't have anything to worry about. Again, just another quick step for you to review and kind of monitor that program. Okay. So unused dosimeters, no changes here. It's not showing, but you have the quarter, the year, you have this confidence level. These are showing your unused dosimeters by sub-account. And then this is the bottom portion. You still have this email functionality. Now, there was an issue, if you're in the audience, there was an issue where these numbers here in the quarter did not particularly match these. So David, talk about that a little bit, and has that been addressed and fixed?
Yeah, Ken, we had an update early in March, and basically there was, while the graph was accurate, the numbers that were displayed were not accurate. So that's been resolved. Make sure everybody understands that it's been fixed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, collective deep dose analysis. Again, the quarter and the year correlates. The tab up there is still there. The confidence level, really no changes with this. And again, this was a part of an RSC presentation. Just for a tip or a trick here, at the end of ours, we place these kind of a legend. You know, this is what you want to look at when you're reviewing. This is what you want to pay attention to. Okay, so if you're interested in RadFacts, if you don't have or you have some questions, David, do you want to talk about subscription a little bit?
Yeah, I can walk through the basics. So there's a couple of ways. If you like what you saw and you don't already subscribe to RadFacts, on the left-hand menu, you can click on the RadFacts main menu item, or you can go to the subscription center that's also on the left-hand menu. And if you click on that, you can then see services and click on the services. Now, either approach, it'll give you an option to look at the pricing and see the details on RadFacts. And directly from there, you can click to add that function for your account. And with a simple confirmation and click subscribe, you'll have immediate access. So it's something that you can do. You don't have to wait to get access. Once you subscribe, it's ready to go. So very simple.
All right, perfect. Thank you, David. Okay, so do you ever have those days where you feel like this and you could use some help? So we just want to touch base on this really quick. Again, I work for the Radiation Safety Support Services for Landauer Medical Physics. And what we do, we develop RPPs. We review your RPPs. RPP is a radiation protection program. We assist you in dosimetry management. We can attend your RSCs, be your correspondents for the state. We review policies, procedures, create license amendments, do renewals, and things like that. So if you ever do need help, you can always reach out to this email right here. I'll leave that up for a little bit and see, what it would run. Okay. Well, we wanted to make this short and sweet. I hope this was you and you didn't have to multitask too much, that this was helpful. But now it's your turn. We want to leave time for questions. I have some great vacation recommendations if you're interested, but hopefully it's about RadFacts itself. So again, we want to leave plenty of time at the end to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Ken and Dave. All right, so let's get to our questions. So first question, how do I generate my RSC meeting report from RadFacts?
Oh, that's easy. You call me. No, just kidding. No, so what you can do is when you're in those, if you have RadFacts now, when you're in there, you can take screenshots, put it into a PowerPoint, and then you can launch the presentation and kind of go through. So there's a lot of different ways you can screenshot it and apply those metrics and notes on the slides themselves.
Okay. Next question, how do I export data from RadFacts?
Okay, I know how, but David, do you want to tackle that one? Kind of the different features like combined PDF and things?
Yeah, most of the screens will have an export functionality, and it offers a couple of different options. Typically, an Excel or a CSV file is most often used, and you'll find those around the data tables. So when you have a data table such as your ALARA exceeders or your fetal dosimeter, fetal program participants, you're able to export those data tables. And then the actual images themselves is just really a kind of a screen capture to get those images if that's what you're looking for.
Right. Is there a requirement to report fetal doses to the participant?
Yes, so whenever you're doing dosimetry, your dosimetry reports, your fetal monitoring, the participant has to have access to that data. You can show it, or they can have it upon request. There's also a feature called IDR, individual dose reporting, which is very nice. So basically, you would have a login to myLDR. It would be a very generic login to your hospital. Let's say hospital ABC, login is 1234, so everybody knows it. Now, when you log into that, you're going to have a serial number on the back of your dosimeter. You type in this serial number, so only the person wearing the dosimeter has access. Types in the serial number, and it'll give you the information for that participant. It's a very nice way for them to have access, and the state approves as long as they know the process. But yes, the participant should be made aware of their exposure levels. And there's different ways you can do that. Some people, they kind of post the dosimetry report in the break room. If you do that, you want to make sure social security numbers, date of birth are scratched out. And some don't like having that data out there. So it's just different ways to do that.
All right, next question. Is RadFacts a good thing for small departments?
Yes, 100%. Again, for radiation, even though you're smaller, for radiation safety committee meetings, if you still have them, it's a nice way to present the data. And you may not have to do a large PowerPoint. You can log in and just share your screen, but it helps you track that data. So if you're monitoring your levels, just because you're small doesn't mean you don't have ALARAs, doesn't mean you don't have, your fetal dosimeters. So, the fetal dosimeters were greater than 10 months. If you don't have RadFacts, how are you going to know that? You're going to have to go in and do some math, then you're going to have to go through all your ALARAs and count them. So it can save you some time. I think it is beneficial to small departments. Some of our surgery centers that we work with have it. They use it and love it.
Does RadFacts provide the threshold letters online when an employee exceeds the dose limits?
So when an employee exceeds, yeah, go ahead, David.
Yeah, so there's actually a separate service for ALARA threshold, what we call the ALARA memos, and those are generated by Landauer if you're a subscriber to the ALARA service, and you can then download those directly from myLDR. That's separate from RadFacts. RadFacts is really just looking at the KPIs and kind of tracking that information. So RadFacts itself does not provide you with the letter or the memo for the ALARA exceeders.
Is there a report that mirrors the REIRS data report?
I am not familiar with that report. They are, I'm not familiar with that, but we can look into that.
Okay.
Nor am
David,
I.
do you know that?
No.
Okay. Can we modify ALARA levels to our own chosen thresholds?
Yes, the ALARA levels are set by default, but if you have specific ALARA levels that you want to set in by account or sub-account, please reach out to your Landauer customer support person, and they can set those directly for you.
Okay, and I'm going to go back just a little bit. So I'm looking, I think what they're referring to is possibly a Form 5, Form 4 kind of tracking the monitor with different employers and just your annual exposure. So can you, do you have that question? Do we have a report that mirrors that? Is that what the question was, Tiffany? For the REIRS?
Yeah, is there a report that mirrors the REIRS data report?
Yeah, if you're looking for monitoring exposure across multiple employers, there is a report called the meter report. If you're looking for annual information, such as the cumulative exposure that you have to hand out, those are the Form 5 reports that we do generate, and the sales department can help you with that.
Thanks, Ken. Let's see here. How do I know when my data is ready for analysis?
So the good thing about this, RadFacts, is it's live. Whenever you go in there, that's the data you have at the time. So whenever you have your quarterly RSC, you can log right into that system, and that is going to be the up-to-date data you have. So you may want to schedule your RSCs a little bit past the quarter to allow all the late dosimeters to be returned.
I think, Ken, the other item we would mention also with the new updates, we've got the number of reported dosimeters, which is visible. So you can take a look at that. And let's say if you've got 100 dosimeters and you can see that 70 have been reported, you may want to wait until the additional ones are reported. But if you're, in the 90% range, and that's typically, typically you fall at 90 or 95% returned, then you'll know that your data is pretty solid at that point.
All right, we've had a couple questions come in on when dosimeters need to be returned for analysis, and then how long it takes for the data to be entered into myLDR.
So David, I can talk about the return. Do you know about the processing time?
I don't have it at my fingertips.
Okay, so you wanna return dosimeters as soon as you can. So the monitoring period, you'll have it on your dosimeter. You want to return it as soon as that's completed. The reason being because if there are issues, if this is a high exposure, you want to be able to address that right away, and you want to be able to do that investigation when it's fresh in that person's mind, instead of receiving it 6 months later and nobody knows what's going on. But as far as dosimeter reporting time, don't quote me, but it's not that long. I would want to say a week. Again, don't quote me. I think you could possibly have those results, but a customer service person could possibly answer that question better, because we don't work in a processing plant, so we don't have that information at our fingertips. I apologize.
Yeah, I know our typical turnaround time is less than 7 days, but there are some exceptions to that depending on the account. All right, we're gonna do one more question just because we are out of time. What are the ALARA default numbers?
So if you look, there is called an ALARA recap, and I wish I had it on my screen, but if you get an ALARA recap report, it has your ALARA levels on there, but the defaults for ALARA 1 and ALARA 2 are 125 and 375 for the deep dose, 375 and 1125 for the lens of the eye, 1250 and 3750 for extremities. Basically, it is you have your annual levels, which is 5,000. Then you take 10% and 30% of those for your ALARA 1 and your ALARA 2. You divide those by 4, and that gives you your quarterly levels. I know that probably was a lot, and it didn't really make that much sense. But if you have any questions, your ALARA levels will be on one of those reports, the ALARA recap, or the customer service can tell you exactly what you set them as, because we have a default, but then you could also go in and adjust it.
All right, thank you, Ken and Dave, for going over RadFacts for us. Thank you, everyone, for attending. and hopefully we will see you at our next webinar.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.